Hello and welcome to some more Dota 2 action. Today we're going to be taking a look at another game from the Summit 4. Absolutely excited to join you guys for this one. It's going to be me, Lyrical Dota, coming on at you with Winter. And how are you doing today, Winter?
I'm fine. Let's do this.
You excited?
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
All right, sorry.
Finally.
We're already a little bit into the draft here. As you guys can see, Leviathan up against Elite Wolves. It's going to be a couple of bands coming out fast and furious. Shadow Fiend, as well as the Slardar, Night Stalker, and the Alchemist into a first pick Doom, followed by the IO Legion Commander and the Winter Wyvern, and then an Ember Spirit and Dazzle. Any first thoughts here that you have, Winter?
They gave away the Doom and they are trying to use mass heal against the Doom with the IO and Legion Commander. I think these two heroes will be probably on the off lane together to pressure. I've seen a couple of teams do this, and Navi is the team that comes to my mind. It could be actually something that pressures the opponent's safe lane very well.
Well, I'm definitely very curious about it. Doom, obviously a hero that we've been seeing just completely take over the meta. I feel like he's always picked or banned throughout the course of this patch 6.85 with the changes that ended up coming up with Scorched Earth, and not often that you end up seeing him being given away. So you're feeling like this is going to be that safe lane Doom and then trying to burn him down as much as possible and out regen him. It's kind of seems like it's going to be relatively difficult though with this. Do you think that the IO Legion Commander is going to be enough? Is there any way that you can sort of shut this down by maybe potentially being able to contest the rune early with the IO Legion Commander down their bot?
I think Doom could be off lane. It's not necessary that he'll be safe lane though. But I do think that what Evos follow up with the Wyvern is very good to counter. The Wyvern is very good to counter the Legion Commander duo. So I think both of the picks of the teams they have like good synergy between each other, but they are good to counter certain stuff that the opponent has right now.
Okay.
And I think the IO probably want to secure. Yeah, you're right as well. They want to secure the first rune, like the bounty rune for the IO probably.
Yeah. Well,
If
we do also see the Gyrocopter and the Ancient Apparition banned out here, so trying to deal with that healing a little bit. Both sides really running a lot of that so far. The Queen of Pain also going to be picked up. A nice way to burst through that cold embrace as well.
Maybe they need more bursts. Maybe like another support that comes to my mind is Skyrath. Skyrath is pretty good versus the Cold Embrace.
Yeah.
Because Queen of Pain Ultimate has a very long cooldown. You might not have it for every fight because Legion Commander's duel has a very short cooldown. You want to have a spell that can actually work with the duel every time you actually have it up. So Skyrath Ultimate comes to my mind. The Queen Ultimate is obviously nice, but the cooldown before you get the eggs is really long.
So do you think that this would be a game where you might try and rush that Aghanim Scepter on the Queen of Pain potentially? Or do you think that something like an Orchid is more worth it to be able to make sure that you're able to burst through these heroes before they get their spells off?
I think I like both options though. I think Orchid could work well because it's always good versus defensive supports like Wyvern. But the early Aghanims would synergize well with the duel and give you more HP to survive the Doom. So, but it depends on how well you start the game. I think if you start off the game very well, getting an early Orchid is most of the time really good for your team because you can shut down the Doom and the Wyvern.
Yeah, that could be really cool. You mentioned the Skyrath Mage potentially getting picked up here as well by Team Leviathan. It could be somewhat interesting. The thing that I would find a little bit difficult about it, particularly with this next pick here in the TA, is actually being able to have some type of solid lockdown. Because if you run the IO and the Skyrath, you're kind of limited in that regard. Is there any other potentially? Do you think like a Lina or a Lion would be decent in terms of being able to pick this as the last support here? Darkseer picked up late as well.
Huh. So it probably means the Legion is the carry in this game. He's going safe lane. Safe lane Legion, off lane Darkseer. And the Wisp would be doing whatever he wants, I guess, helping
Yeah.
all the other lanes. Pretty interesting though, because Darkseer is to me Darkseer is a setup, but it doesn't provide too much damage. It's good with the Legion early on with the Ion Shell, but later into the game, Darkseer is not a damage dealer, he's a setup. And it functions as the same role of the Legion. So they have two setups right now,
Mm,
and they need more damage from the last hero. Queen
okay.
of Pain is definitely a good source of damage, but I think they need something else that provides damage.
particularly if you don't end up hitting these ultimates completely and totally on point. If you don't have that, you're just not going to be able to do anything to these heroes. I guess the other thing you could say is that to a certain extent, if they play a bit more of the trying to find pickoffs game, then you have the possibility
Yep,
to sort of deal with just each individual hero on their own.
I agree. I think when you have relocate and you have Queen of Pain heroes that are very mobile, you try to split them up, but you are running the risk of getting caught by the Doom all the time because
Mm,
Doom is gonna be able to, if he dooms the Queen is just dead.
yeah.
So obviously you're running that risk, but at the same time, if the Doom catches the Queen, you have to relocate to help her. So it depends on how the game is going, and obviously both the heroes can counter each other. So we'll see how Leviathan actually plans out the draft with the last hero. I still feel they need a hero that deals a lot of damage as a support.
Okay, so maybe some other type of bursty hero or something else that maybe something. Do you feel like a Lion Lena or maybe something more like an AoE in terms of a Veno
Uh,
ulti? Venomancer coming out as a support. Is that too weak?
maybe maybe even a Spirit Breaker. I'm not sure. Like heroes that can help because Spirit Breaker can help the Queen get early kills in the lane if
Mm,
possible with Iron Shell. And even though Spirit Breaker doesn't provide too much of damage, but he has a way of working with the relocate all the time with the charge. So it still has synergy with their lineup, just not so much damage like a Skyruff.
Disruptor is going to be the one picked up. Certainly a nice another set of combos here. I mean, you can sort of see the Dream already coming on out, vacuum into Static Storm with a Quap ulti on top of it, but it does feel very all-in-ish to a certain extent. If you take a look at these long duration ultis, obviously Disruptors only goes down to 70 at the last rank, and Queen of Pain's a little bit lower as well, but it does feel like there's a certain bit of it's all very small damage components, and if you start getting these big HP items up on the Doom and maybe an Aghanim Scepter up on the Witch Doctor or something like that, it feels like Elite Wolves have a lot more damage coming out from their side.
Yeah, I agree. I think they have a lot more like reliable damage, whereas Leviathan are relying a lot of on their cooldowns, how they set up the fights. But they do have a really strong team fight. But at the end of the day, I feel their lineup needs to do very well in the laning phase. Otherwise, if they lose the laning phase too badly, Disruptor, Darkseid, all their heroes needs a lot of levels. And if you lose the laning phase too badly, you might struggle to actually get the levels required to actually be able to execute your team fight.
Mm,
Whereas if you look at the Wolves lineup, TA, Tusk, Witch Doctor, all these heroes are, and even the Doom are really good in the laning phase. All
yeah.
their lanes are looking really, really strong. So I think Leviathan might have a really tough time trying to win the lanes, but it's still possible, but it's just harder. I would favor Wolves in the laning phase.
Okay. Well, it'll certainly be interesting to see, and the first couple of minutes will be very telling. Of course, IO does give you a lot more sustain in your lane than you would have normally, but it doesn't actually provide a whole heck of a lot of damage. I mean, spirits can only do so much when they're floating around out there, but it should be interesting. I'm very curious to see where this is all going to end up going as we get ourselves all ready for the draft, and everything is looking absolutely wonderful. I'm so excited to watch some Dota Winter. I've been missing it for a little while. It's sort of one of those things where you kind of always want to be able to watch matches, you don't get a chance to, and then all of a sudden the matches are thrown right there in front of you, and I'm just excited. How about you?
I haven't watched a lot of NA Dota.
No?
No, it's mostly in the past couple of days it was the C region, it was the China games, it was some Europe here and there. So this is like the first time in this few days that I've been watching NA games.
Well, should be exciting then. Let's take a quick little look and we'll introduce the players. For Leviathan, we got Nusham is going to be playing on that IO. Shibi is going to be playing the Legion Commander. Chilanqua is going to be on the Queen of Pain. We got Jenkins off to the side on the Dark Seer. And last but not least, Flying Zebra Dota is going to be playing that Disruptor. And meanwhile, up here for Elite Wolves as well. Would you care to do a quick little introduction for these fine folks?
Sure, for the elite boss, we have M God on the Witch Doctor, Masuko on the Winter Wyvern, Van on the Safe Flame Doom, we have Smash on his Templar Assassin, and lastly we have Bayek on Tusk.
Bayek on
Bayek, okay.
Tusk. It's a lot of Ks. It's great. So very interesting. We're going to be having this Shibi down here on this Legion Commander with the IO. Looks like they might want to see if they can potentially find somebody at the very start of this game. Certainly could be a good way to start off, but I feel like Tusk here is always a dangerous hero to find at the early stages of these games.
Yeah, they're just looking to get down vision though. Like if you look at the map right now, both teams have their vision on the lane, on the off lane.
Mm,
Um, No one TP to the lane though. That's something unusual because everyone tries to TP nowadays. Most of the teams to actually get an advantage on placing a deep ward.
Yeah. Well, looks like they're just sort of posturing right now for
Yeah,
position. Should be able to get a
especially
bottom one.
especially against disruptor, a support that needs a lot of levels. You want to block and make sure that he can't really pull. So some teams actually focus on that matter a lot, where you see the opponent drafting supports that require levels. You try your best to get a block off with a TP.
Yeah. Well, not going to be seeing this time. Instead, just a bit of extra vision, making sure they're not going to be killed in those lanes. Both of those wards drop down in lane. I will also mention that Io didn't end up getting that rune. They left it for the Queen of Pain to secure a little bit of an early level advantage, and then just going to use the passive gold to be able to get the Io up that
Yeah,
bottle.
he's in a safe lane, I guess. He doesn't really need the bounty rune. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you see teams giving the bounty rune to the Wisp, it's only if the Wisp is helping middle and off lane. If you do safe lane Wisp, you don't really need that early burst of gold to get that early bottle.
Yeah. Well, certainly going to be able to get it relatively soon here, and Doom also going to be picking on up the Centaur War Stomp, ready to wreak some havoc on this Darkseer, hopefully. I feel like this lane is going to end up being a little bit tough, though, for the Doom. I feel like whenever you play against a Darkseer with a melee here, you take a good amount of harassment. As far as Doom goes, do you think he's one of the better ones at dealing with the Darkseer Ion Shell, or do you think that he struggles a little bit more too much against that?
He should be fine though. I think he can always save his devour for the Iron Shot on the creeps,
Hmm.
and it really depends. Now the Darkseid is gonna pull this camp here. It's gonna spawn another creep. So if it spawns a creep that could be useful, like a Satyr, for the Doom to have the regeneration aura, then the Doom could be having a really good time in the lane. So oh, he actually didn't spawn. He
Yeah,
didn't get the stack off.
the Winter Wyvern actually came on over and blocked that one, interestingly. Ion Shell down a little
Ah,
bit more. I
it
guess,
probably wasn't intended though. Like I think with the Doom, you want to have the camp.
yeah. Well, getting ready for the pulls. They're going down fast and furious down here in the bottom lane as well. Tusk's going to come over and contest it. I will say that the dual off lane against the Disruptor, I feel like, isn't always the best. And with a Witch Doctor and a Tusk down here, this could be a little bit tough in lane for the combination of the Legion Commander Disruptor IO. Do you think there's any kill potential at all in that lane, or is it just sort of a wash?
It's very hard for them to kill unless the Witch Doctor or Tusk makes a wrong move in the lane because their heroes don't have a lot of damage. Disruptor doesn't deal too much damage. Oops. Top
Oh,
lane.
it's all good. They
Uh,
got it here on the. We got it on the camera while you were waxing philosophic. The Doom was actually able to hit the War Stomp to kill on off the Disruptor. So the surge away into the immediate War Stomp, getting the kill there. Doom always such a pain in the butt in lane to deal with.
yeah, as he gets more levels, the lane becomes much more easier for him with the more points on Scorcher. So this lane should be fine for him right now since he got the kill. But back to the point where you were talking about bottom lane, I think it requires them to make a mistake for the Legion and the Disruptor and the Wisp to get a kill. Because all their heroes don't really deal too much damage now.
Does look like also we're going to be having the Winter Wyvern rotating around and might be able to get this Courier
Oh,
snipe.
Courier.
Not quite 3 minutes, so no potential for an upgrade. This is going to be 1 and 2 hits, should be done. That's nothing in there, so Quilong Jogwood did end up getting the bottle. Right clicks abound. Are they going to be able to get this kill here on this Queen of Pain? Oh, bottles in onto the high ground. Nicely done. A couple more right clicks might be enough. You do have a Scream up as well as another Courier kill. Yes, there's the kill. Nicely done. I feel like that is kind of worth it for the Winter Wyvern.
Yep, worth
Really
it.
nicely played.
It was worth it, and Queen of Pain had to expand a lot of her regen, so she's going back to base. She did get the goal for the kill, but everyone else got the goal for the career kill. And she was forced back to base, so I think it's worth it for them. Definitely good for the support to actually trade your life for that.
Yeah, cool. Well, Winter Wyvern, trade in the life for a Courier. Tough life for the support, but
Oh, the Dream Creep for the Doom.
is it going to be there? He
Yeah, it's
needs,
there.
he needs to go
Yes, the
get it.
Satyr.
So what is it that makes that one so good for the Doom in particular?
Just the regeneration aura.
Yeah.
It's very good for the lane against the Darkseer when you're taking so much harass.
A little bit of lucky RNG coming out there as well. Does look like so far in the mid lane, we've been seeing Smash do a pretty good job. 18 and 5 versus the 13 and 3 of the Queen of Pain. This lane is, or this matchup is kind of an interesting one. We do end up getting the TA with the bounty rune, continuing to harass away onto the Queen of Pain there. What do you think about this matchup here? Is the Queen of Pain pretty heavily favored, or do you feel like it really comes down to who plays it better?
Oh, they're gonna try and get the kill.
A little bit of refraction charges on up. We do have a glimpse back. Didn't use
Nah,
it? Okay.
he dodged the Shadow Strike, so he should be fine. But I think the matchup depends on a lot of things. Whether the Queen has a sentry early to actually poison and get the TA a lot of harass. Because
Mm,
sometimes TA players would actually get a point in Mel very early just to dodge your Shadow Strike.
right.
And I wasn't paying attention how they played the early first few waves, so I'm not sure what happened. But
That's
I
probably,
but I do know that the move from the Wyvern earlier gave the advantage to the TA because Queen of Pain had to go back to base.
yeah. Well, that would probably
And
play a big part into that as well then.
yeah, and Doom went for arcane boots, by the way. Not
Hmm.
something you see too often. You always see Trankles or face boots most of the time.
So what might be the reason for this? Is he going to go for Guardian Greaves at some point, or
I'm not sure though. Maybe he wants to just have the mana for the lane. Because Doom, when you have arcane boots, you can keep using Scorch Earth every time it comes off cooldown if you're
Mhm.
taking a lot of harass in the lane.
Interesting? So very
And
cool then.
he chooses to keep his War Storm as well, which is good versus the Darkseer. Since if you want to keep the War Storm, you want to have a lot of mana to actually be able to use that spell.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Does also have that mango, so his regen is going to be off the charts. And as you mentioned, the creep there with the 4 HP regen per second is still sitting around, but not opting to take that one. Wants instead a chance to potentially kill Mr. Darkseer in lane. I will also mention that he has hit level 6 now, so Darkseer needs to be very, very careful in lane. Already taking a ton of harassment as is, and might continue to be so if he's not careful.
Mhm. He can actually try to bait though if the IO has a TP. Yeah, New Sham has a TP. So if he's close enough to the tower, he can rely on the IO to always save him and just try to bait the Doom into wasting his ultimate.
Mm. Looks like there's more action coming on over here. Flying Zebra might be in a little bit of trouble. Does get caught out. We have the Witch Doctor as well as, oh, catches with the casks. Onto two, needs to TP away. Very dangerous situation. Ends up getting canceled by the glimpse. This is going to be Witch Doctor going down. One more right click, and the IO actually gets that one. Always nice to have that happen. And Roshan just getting quickly checked out there. The Queen of Pain wanted to see if anybody was hanging out.
So far right now the lanes are actually still going. I said that Leviathan needs to have a good start from their lanes so that they actually get enough levels. Right now if you compare the levels, Wiz is actually level 3. Disruptor is 3.5, almost 4.
Mm,
They're actually very similar with the Wyvern and the Witch Doctor, so they are on even footing with the Evo supports, which is really good for them. Because Evos have been running dual lanes to pressure, and they're still on even footing with the experience department on both the supports.
I do always feel like it's one of those things where if you're running an aggressive dual lane, you want to be able to shut that down with the tri lane. But I guess it's a little bit different with when you have a wisp that's sort of
Mm.
not as an offensive of a player.
I I think because they didn't manage to block the camp,
Mm,
if you are able to actually pull, then you're able to actually deal with the pressure that the dual lane actually tries to put on you. That's why I felt that most of the teams will actually try to TP in this sort of situation when they're trying to do a dual lane and it's against a disruptor. You want to actually make sure you get a deep ward to actually block the camp.
right. Well, it looks like they're going to be able to have a decent amount of time here, and we'll see how this ends up playing out. I guess a lot of this also comes down to just how effective people play in the mid game. Really, is what's going to come
Yep.
down to the end result.
Execution. Execution and initiation. Whoever gets the better jump, whoever gets a better spell off faster than the opponent, all these small little details will come into play.
And TA able to take another one of these little bounty runes off to the side here. Should be able to build herself into some items relatively shortly. Doom with the Midas as well as TA being able to pick on up. Ooh, rotations on in. They wanted to catch the Darkseer, but wasn't quite able to make it happen. And as you mentioned, Nusham there being able to rotate in kept him just in case anything happened to pop off there.
Yeah, and because he went for the arcane boots build, he's able to actually just get level death early as well because you have the mana pool to sustain. Usually Doom you can't really sustain all your spells this early, but because of his build, he's actually able to get more points in the level death.
Hmm.
But this is not something you see too often because players mostly focus on getting more points in Devour, so you actually get more gold and experience as the game goes by. You play Doom as a more greedy core. You want to get levels
Yeah.
and more farm.
Well, we'll see how it ends up playing out for him. Obviously, with the Midas there, it's going to mean that he's still able to accelerate pretty good. So maybe a little bit less greedy of a build than you would normally see on a Doom. Is that fair to say?
Yeah,
No.
I guess so. Like a lot of safe lane dooms, but there are certain European teams like Liquid. When they run the safe lane doom and Empire, they don't get a Midas. They just get a face or Tranks with
Hmm.
Bessie and a drum. And you go drum and you just keep fighting when you have 4 points in Scorcher. They don't even try to get a Midas.
Yeah.
They just want to use the Doom to fight early.
Well, it seems like they could potentially be. I guess that they're probably going to want to wait until that Midas actually starts paying off until they try and make use of it.
They're
Well,
making a
apparently
move.
not. Yeah, down bottom lane, smoked on up, ready to see if they can find somebody. Disruptor is in the area, but he's the only one. I don't. Oh, they might be able to find the Legion. Oh, if they could find the Legion right now, this would be devastating. Doom walks around the corner, does spot her out. Doomed come down. There's the snowball forward as well. Ice Shard's coming out, but the IO is there, maybe going to be able to keep him alive. No relocate at this point in time, but does have overcharge. Continuing to right click away. Van and Smash are in the area. They do still have another Ice Shards in a second if they want to toss it out, and this is a very dead Legion commander at this point in time. Doom also able to take out the IO off to the side, and Midas is one more creep just for good effort, and so far not looking the best.
And they have a DD for Roche as well.
Oh
It's
no.
perfect.
They did end up killing the Winter Wyvern up in the top lane while all that was going down, but being able to take this Roshan so early, normally you have to get a Desolator up on the Templar Assassin before anything like this can happen, but looks like Van should be able to tank it relatively effectively, does have Scorched Earth back up in a couple seconds, and meanwhile the Queen of Pain kills the Tusk in the mid lane like it ain't no thing, using that ulti as well, and it looks to be going for the Orchid build.
This is fine for Wolves as long as they get the Aegis on the TA. I think it's still a good trade. Like they lost one hero for it's a long cooldown on the Sonic Wave.
Mm.
So as long as you lose a hero and you don't lose any objectives after that, I think you're actually fine with it. It's gonna happen though, regardless. Someone's gonna die to the Sonic Wave. And as long as you're not losing the TA or the Doom, your two biggest cores, I think you're gonna be fine with that.
Well, very cool then. Looking very solid for Elite Wolves. And Leviathan is ahead in terms of the kill score, but in terms of ability to actually start taking objectives and making moves across the map, it seems like Elite Wolves are pretty well set up to make that happen. Templar Assassin still trying to build towards that Desolator, only about 1,300 gold away from finishing that one off. And meanwhile, in comparison, one of the other key heroes for this, Shibi, does almost have enough for his Blink
Hmm.
Dagger. So this could start to become a little bit of a position where they can make things happen across the map. Who is the target that you're going for the dual damage?
It's pretty weird though his skill build. Like you want to go for the easy like the Wyvern I think all the time because if you go for anyone else the Wyvern can just use Cold Embrace.
Right.
So I was saying like the skill build is weird because when I see Navi play this, they actually max the press the attack. So you can actually get the double heal, but he's gonna get his blink and he wants to go top to fight soon.
Well, they're getting ready to. Everybody's hanging out around this area. We do have a rotation off to the side as well from the TA. Might get
Yeah,
caught out to the side.
Queen doesn't have ulti, so Evos wants to fight here. They know the Queen doesn't have ulti yet.
Yeah, that was a big meld strike as well. So looks like they might try and press the issue a
Oh,
little
mid lane?
bit. Oh, are they going to get the kill here? Walrus Punch down on top of the IO. One more right click and the shard should be enough to get that kill. And Disruptor not going to be here quick enough to glimpse on back. TA's in the area as well. And as you mentioned, trying to take advantage of this timing window where the Queen of Pain doesn't have her ultimate. Does jump forward now on top of her. 10 more seconds. That's a duel on top of the TA. Going to be able to get that kill. Aegis popped now. So a little bit of duel victory. Can they kill her a second time? Not exactly sure. Dropping everything on top of that TA. Static Storm abound. The Snowball, though, saving them as well. That's going to bring them back into the Static Storm. But a little bit of separation created now. We do have the ulti back up on the Queen of Pain if she wants to toss it out at this point in time. Shibi tossing on out. The overwhelming odds. Jumps forward. Another Scream of Pain on top of that Winter Wyvern, and that is another dead hero. 5 heroes sitting mid with the Queen ulti still up. Off to the side, Van does have the Doom. Relocate into the backside. Shibi taking a little bit more damage from the Doom off to the side. The Tusk does fall as well, and now it looks like Shibi might be able to survive through this if he gets a little bit of help from the rest of his team. In the mid lane, they're chasing again. Darkseer, Ion Shelled up. Queen of Pain is going to create a little bit more separation. So Legion Commander should be able to live. Meanwhile, the Queen of Pain doesn't have a TP scroll, staring awkwardly here in the middle of the trees. She's able to jump to safety. Are you kidding me? Running away, maybe denied a neutrals one time, or at least just being able to make her way out of here, and all of a sudden she is gone.
Oh, the Tusk is TPing in. Nope, it's fine. Yeah, but his TP got cancelled by the cast though. So
Okay.
he he still has to spend a lot of time running back to base, but he's quite close to his orchid right now after that last few kills that he actually got.
So do you feel like Leviathan are in a place where they've been doing enough with their ultimates? We mentioned that we felt like they needed to be able to really start to take team fights around those. Has it been enough, or do they need to try and really push the advantage a little bit more here?
Yeah, bottom lane.
Gonna catch Walrus Punch. Static Storm is dropped. Glimpse on back on top of the Witch Doctor. Looks like Shibby should be okay. Maybe they can turn this back around in a second if they want to. Oh my god, dropping very low. Only one level in that press the attack, and looks like Shibby's going to make her way out of there, hopefully. Yeah, Io's there to heal back up.
They're going to look for initiation here, I think.
Blink Dagger is up again.
They can easily kill the Witch Doctor.
There's the blink forward. There's the dual damage as well. We do have a Walrus Punch in a second. Able to keep him in the snowball. Alive a little bit longer, but is it going to be enough? Not exactly sure. Winter's Curse down on top of Nusham. He is dropping very quickly. The Io killed by his buddy, and now the Walrus Punch on top of the Legion. Sonic Wave comes out, but the TA already able to get the kill. Witch Doctor falls as well, looking for a little bit more. We do have the Queen of Pain just barely getting away from that one. Bottle charges up and trying to make her escape. Did finish off her Orchid as well, so at the end of the day, we're taking a look at 2 kills for 2. Winter Wyvern and Witch Doctor falling for the Legion Commander as well as the IO.
Top lane, they're gonna get a Doom on the Darkseer. He shows himself in the lane, so he's dead.
Oh no!
There's
right
no.
clicks.
Oh, that's relocate. That's relocate. Maybe.
Catch it one time. Oh, the overcharge, not quite enough. Does the level def be enough to kill this IO? Doesn't look like it. He should be able to make his way out of here. Also worth noting, the Doom does have his Blink Dagger finished up on top of that Hand of Midas. Mid lane, yet again, another duel on top of the Tusk. What is happening in this game? Everybody is just fighting each other. Walrus Punch trying to create a little bit more separation. Where is the overwhelming odds? It's not quite back up again. Oh, Scream of Pain from the low ground. Monster kill streak on the Quap.
Yeah, the Corp has been doing a lot of work for his team right now, and they just need to make sure that they don't give away easy pickoffs. They have the mech, so I think they can start to group up right now to try and take fights. The mech with the tether and overcharge, they can keep the Legion Commander alive for a very long time if he decides to initiate. And they just need to make sure that they might want to save the Glimpse for cancelling the ultimate of the Witch Doctor, since you have the furthest range of all your heroes.
Yeah, we do have TPs coming in now. Gonna try and mess with this. A smoke down from the other side as well. I don't think that they have enough to catch them out at this point in time, though. Oh, cast down on top of the IO. Might be able to find them there. Snowball in on top of a lot of them. Are they going to be able to make this happen? Static Storm is down on top of 3 and the Kinetic Field. Witch Doctor ulti from the low ground, though, might be enough to make it happen. Should be just barely getting away. Overcharge proc, but we do end up seeing him make his way out of there. Now the turnaround is real. Nusham ends up dying to the Winter's Curse and the Splinter Blast. Queen of Pain is just hitting people from the low ground continuously. One more duel chance. Is it going to be up? No, not up yet, but the glimpse on back should be enough to kill this Witch Doctor, and all of a sudden, Elite Wolves are crumbling, losing 4 for just the IO.
Yeah, that was not a good fight for them to take. Number one, they didn't have the Doom ready. It was like 20 seconds cooldown, and they were fighting as mech disadvantage as well, because they didn't actually manage to complete. The Tusk was really close to completing his mech, but they didn't wait for it. And the other thing is, like, they snowballed into the Static Storm as well. They shouldn't have brought the TA into so far in the fight. So he couldn't actually do anything because of that. I think that was a big misplay for them.
So at this point in time, if you're Elite Wolves, can you really try and fight into this lineup of Leviathan when all the ultis are up? Or do you have to sort of play around that and try and split push a little bit more with this lineup?
I think they could have fought. It's just that they didn't have their cooldowns up. They have to wait for their cooldowns. They just rush into things too much.
Okay.
And they didn't wait for the Tusk to complete his mech. Because Darkseer has a mech and you don't have a mech. You're fighting at a disadvantageous position. That's also a bad thing for your team. So
Okay.
I just felt like they should have just waited for the team to be much more ready for that fight. The mech plus the cooldown of the Doom. Those were the two key things. They definitely have enough firepower to actually win the fight.
Okay.
They just needed to be more patient.
Well, currently at the state of the game, it looks like Leviathan is starting to take a lead. 1,500 net worth lead. Not substantial by any means, but 2,000 EXP, a little bit more so. Looking like we might be in a position here to start another brawl relatively soon. Legion Commander does have 20 duel victories. Darkseer's been able to hit level 11, but still only 1 point in that wall at this point in time. Queen of Pain level 13, so 2 levels in the ulti as well as an Orchid. If she gets a jump on any one of these heroes here, particularly the defensive supports, I feel like there's going to be a very convincing teamfight win. Oh, smoke on up through the side. We are going to end up catching on out the Winter Wyvern. Dual victory down on top of him one time. Is it going to be enough? Static Storm gets dropped as well onto 3. Oh, Vacuum Wall and the Sonic Wave. Darkseer gets a double kill. Queen of Pain another one. Now they're glimpsing on back the TA. She's going to end up falling here as well. I do believe Dust ends up getting popped. Another double kill at this point in time for the Queen of Pain. And again, you get the jump on top of these heroes, and it felt like another snowball into that Static Storm. Winter, what do we do here?
That was again the most ideal target. They found the Wyvern, like I mentioned. They need to always find the Wyvern as the first target. And the follow-up was just because they lost their hero right off the bat, so it was 4v5 and they snowballed into the Static Storm again. I think they can't really try and save the Wyvern there though. They had to ditch him. I'm not sure though.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't a good position for them to snowball into, because the Tusk basically is dead as well when he actually made that move.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand if you're trying to save your carry, but it's just a support and you got caught in a bad position. You most of the time it's just better to ditch the support.
Well, and it certainly seems like it's really tough. If you're in the middle of these fights, you feel like you have enough firepower to take them. Maybe if you're able to snowball to the other side of the Static Storm, you can turn the fight back around by tossing out a good Winter's Curse or something like that.
Yep,
If you,
maybe.
it's tough.
But they need to get a good initiation.
Ooh, snowball in trying to catch somebody there. Fortunately, the quick fingers of that Legion Commander keeping her further away. Like, I guess I catch what you're saying there as well, that if it's the carrier, any type of person like that, being able to potentially save them is really important. Deso is actually going to be the option picked up for this Legion Commander. Kind of might have expected something more like a BKB. Do you feel like they're going to... I guess she's been able to really get off all of her spells consistently. What do you think about the Deso pickup?
I'm actually quite surprised as well. But I think BKB is not so useful as well this game because there's so many things that goes through BKB.
Okay.
But I kind of expected something more like a stats item or maybe an armor item like AC to help him deal with the physical damage. Like Deso is very aggressive. I think he's just counting on the Whisk to actually keep him alive all the time. So he just wants to be dealing as much damage as possible. Because if you look at their lineup, apart from the Legion, the Queen, Disruptor, Darkseer, and Io doesn't really do physical damage.
Right.
Everyone else does like a bit of spell damage here and there. That's like their main source of damage now. So the Legion is building into a more physical carry type of build, which is necessary if the game drags on very long.
Okay. Well, it also probably gives a significant more single target pick-off potential with that Deso. You can probably just jump right in and blow up one target depending on who it is. Worth noting as well, we do have a 4-man smoke going on over into the Dire jungle. Shiva's Guard just finished off on the Doom. On the TA, we've been able to pick up a Blink Dagger and also an Aghanim Scepter up on that Queen of Pain. I will say that we've talked about this before, I felt like, where you sometimes feel like it's more worth it to, if you go for that Orchid, not necessarily go back for the Aghanim Scepter on the Queen of Pain because of how effective it is in the early game. Do you think that this is a good pickup here?
Because they've been fighting so much, I think I can agree to what he's doing right now because he feels like he needs to be able to have the Sonic Wave on ready to go all the time because it's their main source of damage right now. They're counting on the Queen's ultimate. Until the point the Legion reaches another item, then you can actually count on another damage source. But right now, all the damage comes on the Sonic Wave.
Oh, this Legion Commander, this might be the end of her right here. Oh, blinks on back. I really thought that the Doom's Blink Dagger was just off of cooldown. Had they spotted her right there, I think they would have been able to catch the kill.
But right now, they have the Aegis advantage. I think they are really considering when they should take the fight, unless they are really confident. I think they shouldn't take a heads-on fight right now.
Okay, well, it looks like we're going to have a little bit of initiation potential. The relocate is still up if they wanted to go for it at any given point in time. The ice shirt, frozen sigil is just going to keep eyes on him, making sure nothing happens. But with all of these ultis up, it certainly does feel like there's potential for something to brew on out. We do also have Darkseer in the area with the Io, so ready to relocate in, kind of the most ghetto of Blink Daggers that you've ever seen in your life. Could be really good if they end up catching him, but it's looking a little bit scary. Smash still sitting there, just hitting away with his Desolator.
This is kind of weird though. You usually relocate someone to deal damage, not like the Darkseer wants to be there ready to take the fight though. So it's very weird that they're doing this. But I guess because the Legion is their main initiator, they have to do this. But it's not something you see all the time because Darkseer you need to be ready at the fight.
Yeah. I would have loved to potentially see a ward placed on
Mm,
it up in this area, considering that just ended up getting introduced with Reborn. He'd have
yeah,
complete and total vision.
this might be risky though. They're still fighting into a Aegis, so I'm not sure if they should be taking a fight. Like sometimes it's actually better just to wait it out. Oh, here we
Oh,
go.
Shibby ends up getting caught out by the ultimate. We do have the Static Storm down on top of 2. Snowball onto the other side. Vacuum Wall into 4 on the Static Storm. Lots of damage coming out. We already have the buyback from the Legion Commander trying to get back into the fight. The Aegis has popped. Witch Doctor ulti going absolutely everywhere. And the Legion Commander does end up taking out the Doom and now looking for a little bit more. TP's back in. Are they going to be able to catch the Witch Doctor? No, not quite. So at the end of the day, the end result is a Doom, an Aegis, a Winter Wyvern for the Legion Commander and her buyback.
It's somewhat a little better for Leviathan since they took out the Aegis as well. But at the end of the day, Elite Bulls are not too worried about that because it's still your position 1 carry buying back.
Yeah.
So, and it's more like a fair trade if you don't count the Aegis. So I don't think it's a big issue for them, and might even get another kill.
Oof.
Yeah, double damage
Smash.
on the tier.
Yeah, that'll happen. That DD is
That
just
that
so
is a
ridiculous.
big that is a big kill. 1200 gold for him. It's godlike streak.
Oh man, yeah, that's pretty significant. And now already working into the BKB for the TA, only a couple of hundred gold away from finishing that one off at this point in time. The Darkseer, meanwhile, has been able to build on into both the Mechanism and the Arcane Boots as we talked about, and saving gold here. I feel like Guardian Greaves could be pretty impactful in this next little team fight here, considering we've been seeing Leviathan consistently hang around very close to that death mark and getting the extra regeneration as well as the extra armor from it could be pretty impactful.
Yeah, I think Garden Grease can be very useful, or even getting a pipe as well. I think it's a very good counter to Doom. Like before Doom gets Aghanim's, because pipe can actually block some of the Doom damage, and you can also block some of the other spells from the Wyvern and the Tusk. It could be an item that he wants to go for, but I think the Greaves is also a really good option here. Like one of those 2 items.
Yeah, he does finish off the Greaves now. Io also does have a Glimmer Cape up, so trying to keep his buddy alive as long as Io-ly possible. Disruptor, meanwhile, sort of sitting just pretty comfortably on the Arcane Boots. We do have rotation on off to the side. Oh, duel on top of Smash. This is bold, but gonna be able to get the kill. That Desolator coming in effect, and Queen of Pain throwing on out the ulti as well. Let me tell you something in your ear. That was a lot of hate thrown that way.
Kill secured, my friend.
1100 gold swing into their favor. Meanwhile, the Witch Doctor as well, sitting pretty comfortably, has himself a nice little bracer. The Templar Assassin, of course, just having died, was able to finish off her BKB though, so not the worst in the world. Looks like the Winter Wyvern is saving up for the Blink Dagger. We do already have the Blink and the Mechanism up on the Tusk. And last but not least, for this Doom, the Shiva's Guard as well as an Ogre Club. I feel like this might end up being Aghanim Scepter. Do you feel like that would be more worth it, or potentially BKB for himself?
Nah, I think he wants BKB.
Okay.
Since the TA went for a BKB as well, and I think it's important for him to get a BKB against the Silence. They have 2 means of stopping him from casting a Doom: the Disruptor ulti and the Orchid from the Queen of Pain. So you just need an item to make sure that it doesn't happen in a team fight, because they need to get the Doom on a key target, like the Queen, or even dooming the Wisp so the Wisp can't save the target.
Okay.
So he needs to make sure that he does his job in the fights.
Definitely. Well, and certainly we've seen what can happen if you just let this lineup sort of do whatever it wants consistently. Tusk does end up being spotted out here. Are they going to be able to find him?
Glimpse.
Oh, there, he's actually coming back, able to keep eyes on him, and the duel eventually going to be able to take on out that Tusk so quickly. The amount of damage is really starting to pile up now. 76 bonus damage on this Legion Commander, hitting for 234 a pop. Starting to get a little bit scary.
Yeah, at this point they're gonna need more armor on their heroes already, and it's very hard for, I think, even the TA to go solo pushing. I think Elite Wolves needs to be very careful about their positioning, because if you get spotted out alone, you're actually just dead from the duel plus a relocate bringing in an extra hero in as well.
Oh.
So they have to be very close to each other. Maybe at some point even get a gem, because if you look at the vision right now, Leviathan has really deep wards in the Elite Wolves territory. So they are able to actually see and spot all their movements around the map.
They actually, interestingly enough, Elite Wolves have been able to get a couple of decent wards of their own in terms of vision
Hmm.
around the
Yeah,
Radiant side, but they don't have a ton in their own jungle, which is a little bit disconcerting.
yeah. When you're actually losing, you want to secure your own jungle. Like when you're in a disadvantageous position, most of the time you see teams prioritizing and warding their own jungle because that's the position where you can actually farm.
Right, definitely.
And you can also spot out potential ganks if the enemy is running into your jungle. So I definitely think that the wards here are really nice, are very deep, but it doesn't really help them in improving their current situation
Yeah,
because
just it just lets them
they're
know, hey,
behind.
they're not there. I'll also mention they have been doing a little bit of dewarding now. We took off one that was right over here to this side. The Witch Doctor
Mhm.
able to pull that one off and placing a few more down, trying to create vision, make sure that they're not spotted out by this. Pretty much nobody knows what's going on in this area except for the teams that are there. But looking like they're going to try and push down this tower. This seems like it's a little bit of an ask to try and contest this one here.
Yeah, I don't really think that Elite Wolves can take a fight outside of their base at this point. It's very, very difficult for them because of the position they're in right now. They have to rely on high ground defense with like combo plays from the Wyvern and the Witch Doctor or even the Tusk to be
Mm,
able to win a team fight. If they are able to win a team fight, then they can actually get themselves back into the game. And we talk about this when they already actually secured. They in this game, the Wolves team actually managed to secure two Roshans already, but they're still in a disastrous position right now.
right. Yeah, definitely. And it looks like they're going to toss out a four-man smoke, see if they can find somebody. Unfortunately, just based upon the fact that nobody is showing in lane, it kind of feels like Leviathan would be aware that this is happening. They are going to place down a
Mm,
couple of wards to secure their jungle.
yeah. At least they get a ward down though. Like ideally you want to be ganking the Wisp lane because if you gank the other lane, the Wisp can actually bring back up to that lane.
Oh, here we go. Oh, jumping forward is going to be able to immediately burst apart that IO. Maybe a really good start to this fight. Going to be able to get the Disruptor as well. Winter Wyvern might end up falling, staying alive a little bit longer. Meanwhile, Elite Wolves, the Tusk is falling a little bit lower. They only have enough to be able to get this kill. It looks like off to the side, the Winter Wyvern will eventually fall, but Doom coming in does end up getting taken out as well. Shibby dealing a ton of damage, but he is doomed on up. Is he going to be able to end this fiend fight with
Oh,
a huge relocate away, creating more of that separation? The wall goes down. Maybe the Queen of Pain's going to be able to escape from this one. Jenkins creating a little bit more separation, but three heroes have died in what looked to be a great initiation for Elite Wolves. Now the vacuum back onto the high ground. Oh God, Witch Doctor, we knew you well. He is going to be able to toss out the stun, but is it going to be enough? I think no. Oh, maybe one more time. No, he's definitely dead. Goodness gracious. What went so long in that team fight?
the buyback from the IO actually saved the day because they were able to jump like the smoke from Elite Wolves. They actually jumped the Wyvern, sorry, not the Wyvern, the Whispers with the Wyvern with the curse, and he immediately buys back to save the Legion commander as well. It's just one of those things when you have a Wisp, the buyback on the support, you should always use it to secure yourself a team fight. That was what turned the team fight around because they wasted two ultimates basically and
Hmm.
it didn't do anything because they doomed the Legion commander, but the Wisp was able to relocate him back to safety after that.
And the Winter's Curse, of course, to kill the IO. So the two really, really potent team fight ultis that you have out of these lineups here for Elite Wolves end up getting used for one purpose that doesn't end up securing itself. So, yeah, too bad. And like you mentioned as well, the fact that you wanted this Legion commander to go for a ton of damage really early. Oh God, Smash, you are so bold. Oh, is this going to end up happening though? They do drop down the trap. They end up realizing this is the TA that's over here. Go jump on her. There's the duel one time maybe. Where's this reveal? I want it. It's not going to end up happening. Up on the high ground is going to be the Doom. They actually end up catching them out. A couple of heroes not in the area they want to be. Nice Static Storm, keeping a little bit of separation. Templar Assassin ends up taking out the IO though, and now Shibby is going to end up falling. Sonic Wave on top of three. I don't think it's enough. They end up losing three here off the back of it, looking for a little bit more onto Flying Zebra Dota. He ends up going down. Triple kill for the TA, and it looks like the only person who's going to end up making their way out of this is going to be the Queen of Pain. So Elite Wolves fight back a little bit here. Taking a look at this, this was a nice little 4,000 gold swing into their favor.
Yeah, it was a very good jump from the Doom. He didn't remove the IO this time, but he removed the Darkseid, which is a huge portion of the team fight. The Vacuum and the Mech, the Guardian Greaves, and the Wall. So it was a really good initiation from them. And this time they didn't have the buyback from the IO to help them save the fight. And no one actually has buyback, and they have a lot of damage to actually do on this tower with the Desolator.
Oh God, this could be disastrous right now. Shiva's guard popped out as well. There's no buybacks, but I'm not sure why they're running away from this one. I guess that they want to
They
secure Roche.
Nah, they have no clue that they don't have buybacks. It's just we have the benefit of having the graphs and whatnot, so it's easy for us to say. But for
Yeah.
the teams, it's much better to go for the safer play because you never know if they actually have a buyback and you overcommit and you lose a fight. Because at this point, they don't have their Winter's Curse and Doom. They are very, very cautious about taking a team fight.
Well, and they have been able to build their way back into this game a little bit. I mean, you take a look, Elite Wolves after those couple of last team fights, 1,000 gold into the lead in terms of net worth. EXP still a lead for Leviathan, but it's starting to look like that might tilt back into their favors. The game's still very even. Oh, the Queen of Pain jumping forward here as well. We do end up seeing the TA trying to get onto the Legion Commander, going to be able to create that extra little bit of separation. Jenkins has fallen a little bit lower. Witch Doctor does die to the IO as well. Jenkins just trying to create that separation. Run away, little Darkseer. Is he going to be able to make his way out of here? He looks to be dead, probably. Meanwhile, off to the side, the Legion Commander ends up taking out the Tusk. So back and forth we go. They do end up killing that Darkseer, but 2-for-1 trade, and at the end of the day, the Aegis taken as well.
Yeah, it's acceptable for Elite Wolves. I think it's fine for them. They didn't lose their two biggest heroes. They didn't lose the Aegis, so they just need to wait for everyone to respawn and push out the lanes, then they can just take a fight after that. All their cooldowns are up right now.
I feel like Darkseer keeps on, it's because he needs to jump forward into the middle of everybody and lay down his spells. He doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of HP and sort of survivability in these fights. What do you think might be a good next item for him to pick on up here, considering Shiva's is already picked up by the Queen of Pain?
I'm not sure if he actually has time to farm that, but if you ask me, I think you don't really need much because you need even if you die in every fight, I think it's fine as long as you are able to drop your vacuum and wall, your
Okay.
job is done. So if you want to look for pickoffs, you go for a hex. If you want to deal more damage with your ultimate, you go for Aghanims. These are
Okay.
the two options that he has right now. Sometimes players even go for more utility, like a Ghost Scepter, or you go for an extra 4 stuff to help your team or
Okay.
even a Vlad sometimes. But he doesn't have any specific item that's really good at this situation. It all depends on what he wants. Like everyone has their own preferences.
Okay. Well, very cool. Queen of Pain does have 4,300 gold in the bank. Definitely wants to make sure that she's able to have that buyback ready to go in case one of these team fights go a little bit sour. Meanwhile, Jenkins up there in the top lane just continuing to do what he does. The Doom does have the cheese up on him as well, so an already very tanky target can be very, very difficult to burst down at this point in time. It's starting to feel like Elite Wolves carries are really starting to come online. That Midas is very much being felt. The fact that this Doom has been able to consistently jump in there with the Shiva's Guard and just go to town on people. And also Witch Doctor closing in on that Aghanim Scepter, only about 1,900 or so gold away from finishing that off.
Yeah, late game Doom is just very scary. The longer the game goes, it's gonna get harder for Leviathan because their lineup is much more like early to mid game based. Like late game against a Doom with potential refreshers at some point,
Mm,
they're just not gonna be able to win the late game when it reaches that stage. Doom is just like I would say the king of the late game.
okay.
He just takes out two heroes. Like it's so how do you deal with that? He takes out two of your heroes and yeah, it's basically like Necroforce with Aghanims. Like two heroes out of a fight, then what do? You lose the fight. There's not much you can do.
Yeah, that's very frustrating indeed. And I guess you do also have. I guess the only way you can really deal with it is to try and bait out the ultimates. But
Yeah.
if you're playing against a competent Dune, that's probably not going to be happening.
Against Doom at least you can actually save buybacks, but at the end of the day, if you are forced to buy back and the Doom's team back off and don't, suffer losses every time you do that,
Yeah,
you're still gonna lose in the long run.
yeah, it's very frustrating. Well, the IO is a pretty good way to be able to counter that to a certain extent. You're going to keep your teammates
Yep.
alive, hopefully, with the tether and being able to heal back up. But of course, if that IO gets doomed, then you've got a whole nother set of problems that you
Yeah,
have to deal with.
the last fights we could see that both the teams are putting their priorities right on targeting down both the supports all the time. Evos are always trying to target down the IO first, whereas Leviathan is always trying to find the initiation on the Wyvern. I think these are the two key heroes in a team fight for both teams. Being able to save one person that's being focused down by the opponent team. So I think they need to actually do that again to be able to at least have a chance to win a team fight. If you actually find the Wyvern first and maybe the Legion commander can get the duel on the Doom, that would be the most ideal situation for Leviathan.
Mm. Certainly, and it is worth mentioning as well that IO does have buyback backup in 6 seconds. So this next team fight, wherever it does end up getting placed at, we will be able to see an IO buy-in back into this game, and I think that that might be enough to let Leviathan feel comfortable pushing this on out here. We'll see if they do end up going for it. Meanwhile, M God down here in the bottom lane, just sort of hanging out, waiting for the action to pop off. Actually, doesn't have a TP scroll either. So that's a little bit unfortunate. But AC's picked up on both teams now, the Doom as well as the Legion Commander. I feel like right now maybe more survivability across the board for Leviathan. I feel like they're not able to really sustain in these extended team fights here.
They do, however, have the refresher on the Queen though, so they have the double Sonic Wave to take out a target. So this fight, I think they just need to drag on for till the Aegis expires. It's expiring in like maybe 30 seconds. It's gonna be gone soon. So they want to take a fight with the refresher with the Aegis down soon. That
Yep.
is the ideal situation for them.
It does look like they're going to be trying to push on out this top lane wall at the same time, maybe hoping to cancel a couple of TPs when this ends up happening. The fortification is already out, so just going to bait that one and be fine to sort of keep a little bit of extra space between them and the rest of the team.
Yeah, I think they are just gonna be forcing to drag some time till the Aegis. It's gonna expire, right? I think it's already gone in like what 1 minute or 30 seconds. It's gonna be over soon. So Leviathan manages to buy enough time to actually wear out the Aegis. So it's good news for them. And whereas for Elite Wolves right now, they need to make sure that they keep their lanes all pushed up before they go for another 5 man like down one lane.
Do you think that Elite Wolves really had to make something happen with that Aegis, or are they comfortable just letting this game continue
Nah,
to go?
they are comfortable because they have Doom.
Okay, sounds good. DD down in the bottom rune as well. Probably not going to get picked up by anybody just based off of the vision. And if you take a look at the vision, normally the sigil does create a little bit of extra benefit to you, but right now that really hasn't been able to. The dewarding game has been very strong so far here, and haven't really been able to see a ton of stuff go out either side. Tusk did just get spotted out by that observer ward over there, and they do recognize that that is going on, but definitely a little bit lax in terms of being able to see things.
Mm. It's quite a late gem as well, though. I was expecting the gem to come out sooner, but at least they still get it at the end of the day on Masuku. I think this is very important for them to remove all the vision because right now, Elite Wolves are stronger, right? So they are trying to run 5 men down the lane if possible. So you need to remove all the vision so Leviathan can't really split push comfortably.
Mm.
Oh, relocate?
Relocate top lane. They're going to just go for the back door right now. So much damage with the creeps down bottom. This is actually completely tearing apart these racks, and they're going to lose one almost immediately. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane as well, we've got the AC, or not AC, excuse me, just the right clicks from the Queen of Pain tearing it apart. And just like that, you lose one lane of racks. Meanwhile, the top lane continue to get pushed out. The fortification has already been used. That is a dead IO now.
And this is all in for Evils. They need to actually win the game now.
Oh my goodness, they're jumping forward. They're going to try and take down this tier 3 tower. We do have TPs on back to try and deal with this. Already the Queen of Pain is going to end up going down. Off to the side, we end up getting a kill on the, what's that, the TA ended up going down as well. Oh my goodness gracious, the Winter Wyvern falls as well. This is disastrous for the Elite Wolves right now. Losing 2 heroes and a set of racks and a tier 3 tower. Oh, the relocate game is strong.
That is just game losing stuff right there. They didn't have TPs on their heroes. And they chose to push when they're. That's why I mentioned when they are trying to push on one lane, they need to get all the lanes out. They cannot afford to push when one of their lanes is so close to their base. Then you can actually just do the relocate thing to take out the racks. If there's no creeps, that's not going to happen. So I think that was a really important thing. They actually can't let it happen. They need to push out all their waves before they try to run down a lane.
Well, the other thing here as well is that you saw a couple of minutes ago they had that push on up to the top lane where they just get applied a little bit of pressure while Elite Wolves are in the mid lane with their Aegis, and then they used the fortification. So fortification was able to be baited out, and then immediately afterwards they're able to push on out that bottom lane, get the rotations over. Just really, really solid play by Leviathan here, showing that they know how to play the rat game as well.
Yeah, it's just Wolves though. I think it's more on Wolves making a mistake allowing that to happen though. I think Wolves should understand that Leviathan cannot engage in a straight fight. They are going to be looking to use their relocate to try and rat. So to avoid that from happening, you need to get all your lanes out.
Mm.
I think I just feel like it's more on Wolves to make sure that it doesn't happen because they are in control of the game, but not anymore. Right now, they are not in control of the game anymore.
Oh, and Doom might end up getting exploded here. Here's the jump forward, the duel as well. Static Storm down, and that is a dead Doom. Another duel victory. They brought the Queen of Pain on in with the relocate as well. Looking for more if they can potentially find it. Glimpse on back is going to be coming if he gets too far away. Sonic Wave and everything else thrown out. That's a dead Tusk. Glimmer Cape a little bit too late, and now the vacuum back. Sonic Wave and the wall. This is going to be another 2 dead heroes here. The Witch Doctor ulti is out with the Aghanim Scepter. Do they have enough to take him on down? Yes, they do. So triple kill now for the Queen of Pain, and looking to be taken more here in just a second. Smash, are you going to be able to do it, buddy? Not exactly sure. They do toss out another kinetic field. There is the Ion Shell to burn through the refraction charges if they get up close and personal, but Legion Commander's taking down the melee barracks. Blink away before the projectile ends up hitting. More glimpses. Everybody's getting thrown all over this map. The glimpse on back from the Doom, but this is going to be dead for Flying Zebra. Tried to go for the deny, wasn't able to make it happen. Legion Commander knows what up, though. She's just going straight for these barracks. This is going to be mega creeps in just a second. My computer can't even handle the awesomeness that's going down here. Smash ends up going down, winner of another duel victory, and it looks like Leviathan might be ready to take a game 1 here, pushing it to the game 2. Oh, goodness gracious. There's the jump forward. Yeah, Smash ends up falling. Aegis and Cheese already gone. GG gets called. Good game to Leviathan.
I think that misplay actually just cost them the whole game, though. They were actually in a really good position before that, with the Doom going to late game, and they just need to make sure that they push the lanes and not get caught out by the red, because that's the only way Leviathan could have won. I felt like Wolves were in firm control of the game until that point when they made that error. That was the biggest error they made in the whole game. It cost them the game.
Well, occasionally these things do happen. We're going to be back for game 2 in
Shit
just
happens.
a second. Shit happens, absolutely. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be here in a second for game 2 at Lyrical Dota, at Winter Dota as well. And should be a pretty great one. Excited for this, and we'll see you guys in a second.